Hi, my name is Miguel D'Souza, and welcome to the GNI Asia Pacific Youth Verification Challenge. And today is our very first lesson. We're going to take a first look at geolocation. Right at the beginning of this, I need to remind you that it's important that you join the quiz at the end, because that's how we're going to test you throughout this challenge. What you'll need to do is log yourself onto a separate machine, or perhaps open up another tab if you're on a laptop, and that will allow you to participate in the quiz while keeping this window open. So right now we're going to look at some of the tools that you can use to get a ground level view of as many places in the world as possible. We're looking at Google Street View, but we'll also take a look at street level views from tools like Mapillary and Yandex, the latter which covers some important parts of the world that Google doesn't. Now, crucial to verifying an image or video is being able to find an image of it to compare it to. Street View tools are excellent for this, and the most comprehensive of them all is Google Street View. Google Street View covers close to 16 million kilometers of the planet's roads. You can see it here on this map. It's an amazing feature that helps journalists and master detectives, just like you. Let me show you how. Now, it's really easy to use. You have to switch on the Google Maps app. Now, this is different from the Street View app, so don't confuse the two. First up, search for your location. And once you find it, zoom in and you'll find these blue lines or circles. Those blue lines indicate a street view, whereas the circles are what you call photospheres, like what you're looking at right now. Now I'll show you a view of what the street view looks like. You can see down there, the little square on the bottom left appears when you search for a place, and there is actually a street view available of it. If you start zooming into an area without any search location, you won't see the square. What if you wanted to view older Street View images? When it comes to fact checking, sometimes you encounter old visuals that have been recycled as recent photos. Now, if you were able to go back in time to a location, you could actually see older scenes from the same place. But sometimes when you do reverse image or video searches that don't yield any results, knowing how to spot clues within a location and check if the incident happened at that exact place and roughly at about what time can actually help determine whether content's accurate or not. To do this, you may need to use historical Street View. Now, here's how you can get to historical Street View. You might remember that in the mobile Google Maps app, you can see when the street view you were looking at is roughly last captured. But it doesn't show you the exact date, and it also doesn't give you the option to find older Street View imagery. Historical Street View is a function that's available on a web browser. Now, using your laptop, you can head to Google Maps and find the location that you want. Once there, you can click Pegman and bring up Street View and have a look at the location. Now, as you can see here, it's a 360 panorama of the location. But once you're in there, you can actually then click into the Street View timeline feature up on the left. Right now you can see there, up in the left, we've identified Street View's timeline, and we can now click on those white dots and go back through time and see exactly when a street view was captured. And you can see there, we can look at different advertising that's been used at various times just simply by clicking back through the years that Street View was in that street capturing locations. It's a pretty handy tool and allows you quite a degree of accuracy when it comes to identifying images by location over time. But what if you can't find a historical view that matches with the timelines to locate the visuals you have? Now, one option nowadays is that with public locations, especially things like shopping malls or other public spaces, you can actually read the reviews that people leave. Now, the interesting thing is these days, people are actually also leaving photos, which then means that you can actually check the interior of many locations. You can check things like changes in signs, store design, all sorts of really useful stuff like that, that time sensitive searching allows you to do. You can even look at things like advertisement boards, buntings, and even the special time sensitive offers or promotions that companies have in place at a location. Google isn't the only place in the world you can get Street View. There are other tools, such as Mapillary, that offer Street View imagery. Mapillary is not only extensive, but it can offer street views in places that are quite hard to get to. This is because Mapillary relies on user distribution. So this really does rely on people submitting their own Mapillary images. Obviously, that can be a drawback as well because Mapillary's coverage is limited to where users do submit it. It also doesn't have a 360 view, so you really are absolutely at the mercy of whatever somebody has chosen to actually post into Mapillary. But again, it does give you an option of having the ability to be able to search in some places where Google may not reach. Besides Google and Mapillary, another really useful tool is Street View is Yandex. They call it Total View. Now, Yandex is Russia's preferred search engine. It actually also has a maps tool, and it also has a Street View level tool. Yandex provides Street View in Russian cities, towns, and Street View imagery in many former Soviet countries. Now, in Yandex Maps, you can search the panorama function, which once activated, will find locations which have Street View coverage. These are usually identified in purple, and they're mostly around large cities. But where you see the balloons, this is a kind of aerial view, and this is usually identified as balloons. And these are 360 panoramas of locations taken from just above ground level. Now, we touched on Google, Mapillary, and Yandex today. These are just some of the many tools out there. There is one more. There's Bing Maps. Now, it's only available on Windows, but if you browse Bing Maps, you'll find a function called Street Side that shows a street view of places, just in case the others don't work for you. Now, if you find that the Google Street View you have is fairly old and you'd look for more recent options, at least now we've shown you a couple of other options that may well give you coverage where Google Street View didn't. Just remember Mapillary, Yandex, or Bing. Of course, there are no guarantees that you're going to find recent images, but at least they'll give you a chance. Okay, so are you ready to be tested? Now, this is the crucial bit. This is the instruction for what you're going to do. So you better listen very carefully. Go to quizzy.com and join. Key in the code that you can see on your screen and do input your nickname that you're using for the competition. I'm going to give you 2 whole minutes while I repeat all of those instructions, okay? And you can look at that amusing animation on screen while I do that. Just remember one thing though, that scores are going to be tallied throughout all of our tutorials on the leaderboard that you can see at the URL on screen right there. Okay, so you still got a minute and 45 to get yourself together, so don't panic. Go to quizzy.com and hit the join button. Key in the code that you can see on screen and input your nickname, which you've used for this competition. From that point, you're going to have 3 minutes once the challenge begins to submit your answer. Scores will be tallied throughout all tutorials on the leaderboard that you can see on screen right there. Now, we're giving you a very generous amount of time to get yourself onto the platform. So do get yourself together and hopefully you are well and truly in the process. And again, if you are already in the quizzy.com room, you're probably still listening to my voice because you'll have this open on another tab. That's how you want to be. Now, obviously, if you need to open up other tabs to start your investigation, you're going to have to do that. So look, while you are waiting, you do have a couple more minutes just to wait. If you are already inside the room, you can sit tight. For the rest of you, you've got about 30 seconds to get yourself into the quiz. So please do get cracking. We really don't want anyone to miss out because today will get you started on your move up the leaderboard. So just under 20 seconds to go. I'm just going to wait till everybody has joined us here at Quizzy, and 10 seconds to go, and almost there, and we can get cracking on the quiz. So we have 2 more seconds. One. Okay. What color is the picket fence at the entrance to Cheng Hun Teng Temple in Malacca in Malaysia? Is it white? Is it blue? Is it red? Or is it pink? Okay. So your time starts now. You have 3 minutes to answer the question. Now think about what you're going to do. Think about all of the tools that you've had a look at before. What color is the picket fence at the entrance to the Cheng Hun Teng Temple in Malacca in Malaysia? And the cool thing is, it doesn't matter if you haven't been there, because you've got some very powerful tools to help you find it. Now you have 3 whole minutes. I'm not going to talk throughout the whole thing. That would be pretty irritating. However, think about what you have to do. Think about the tools that you have at your disposal. Will you look at Yandex? Or do you use Mapillary? Do you have to stretch out to use something like Bing? Do you start with Google and rule it out right at the beginning? So think about this. What color is the picket fence at the entrance to the Cheng Hun Teng Temple in Malacca in Malaysia? Is it white? Is it blue? Is it red? Or is it pink? And don't guess. And the other thing is the picture that you're looking at the most recent picture available? So, just about halfway through the challenge, the question is, what color is the picket fence at the entrance to the Cheng Hun Teng Temple in Malacca in Malaysia? Is it white? Is it blue? Is it red? Or is it pink? And you have under a minute and a half to answer that question. Of course, you've got to solve the problem too. So the clock is counting down. You are running out of time, although if you are well organized, you probably have already submitted an answer. Otherwise, you might still be checking your answer, but either way, you've got now a minute to submit your answer. And the question, in case you're really absolutely running really late and you've only just joined us, what color is the picket fence at the entrance to the Cheng Hun Teng Temple in Malacca in Malaysia? Is it white, blue, red, or pink? Look very carefully at the spelling that we've got on the screen, because that'll obviously help you find it when you're doing a search on any one of the map platforms that you're looking at. You've got 30 seconds to go, so I really hope that you are getting your answer in. I wouldn't like you to miss out at all. We have about 20 seconds to go, so I really do hope that you are submitting an answer. I do happen to know that you will probably have found it using Google Maps, and that's your big hint, just in case you need one with 10 seconds to go. And then you probably use Google Street View. But I'll tell you all about how to solve it in about 3 seconds. And we're done. So, let's have a look at the answer. You're probably absolutely dead keen to figure out exactly how we solved that, right? Well, here we go. So, what did we do? Well, to start with, we did a search for the temple in Malaysia. So if that's where you started, good for you. Next up, so as you can see, we've identified the temple. Google's autocomplete in Maps has identified it for us, and now we're going to zoom in on that location. So you can see there we even have an address. If we grab Pegman and drag him all the way down to the street just in front of the temple, you can see there that we're now looking at a lovely red wooden picket fence. How cool is that? Now, as you can see, we even have the option of Street View Timeline, so we can actually go back through time. But you know what? They've been pretty consistent with that fence color. It's been red for a very, very long time because it's a really, really nice color. And look at that. We're all going all the way back to 2017. And as you can see, the fence has been red for a very, very long time. Well, look, that brings us to the end of today's quiz. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, there's a couple of very important little bits of detail we need to remind you about before we go. First up, we have a little website that you can visit if you want to check and see how you're doing. If you look at the URL just below me right there. Now, as well as that, we do have an FAQ on the website which should answer any questions you have about the verification challenge. However, if it doesn't, just send an email to GNI Verification Challenge at themasterplan.com.sg and they will answer all of your questions. And I will say thank you very much for joining us. Do join us next for Geolocation Part 2, and that will be looking at the world from space. My name is Miguel D'Souza. I'm a Google News Teaching Fellow. Thank you so much for joining us. Goodbye.